Yo, what's up guys? It's the Elephant, and this is the final part of my niche cars series. I did it for commons, I did it for uncommons, I did it for rares, and it is time for super rares. So I'm going into super rares fully upgraded, so you know I have had experience with these cars. I'm not going to show you guys a stock car and be like, yeah, this car is amazing. It's time. So basically, the niche cars are for cars that you don't know are amazing, like the Elise Sprint, the RX-7, the Mustang GT convertible. They're cars that are more not as well known, that are actually really useful, that you'll get as much use out of, like having a maxed out RX-7. So I'm going to be going through these cars, telling you guys how good they are, and why you should keep them, or just if you want to look forward to keeping a car. Because these cars will definitely get you your bang for your buck, and will definitely be used by you a lot. So, first car on the list is the Rq48 Subaru Alcine SVX. And now I have it tuned at 323, and the reason it is good is because of that top speed, the four-wheel drive, and just sort of everything. But really, it's that MRA too. It's got some pretty strong MRA on it, especially for a Japanese car. Decently lightweight, has low ground clearance though. I've had it for 80 days, 65 races, 74% rain ratio. But when you have the opportunity to use it, it is a very good car. It'll win you lots of races. It's also really good at like test bowl. It's a good test bowl car. Good rain car if you need something for the fast, like a fast circuit. It's just a pretty good car since it has strong MRA. It's just a good all-rounder in the rain if you need something more on the faster end for Japanese-wise. Because a lot of them have more of a slower 0 to 60. While the Alcine has the MRA and the 0 to 60 plus the four-wheel drive to help it. Next up on the list is the Lotus M100 Alon. I've had this car for a very long time, 751 days, 1,625 races, with a 75% win ratio. And like some cars in my garage that I've had for a very long amount of time and they don't really get used anymore, this Lotus M100 Alon still gets used quite a bit. I use this Lotus a lot. Like, I maxed it out when, like, pretty new in the Great Exhibition. Like, this was one of my first maxed out cars, like, on this account. So, yeah, that was pretty cool, but I've had this car for a very long time, and it has been a very useful one. This car helped me through the campaign. It's just such an amazingly good car. And so yeah, it's just one I definitely recommend keeping it. I use mainly all the use it gets now. It did help me in the campaign in the past and in some events, but it does get used quite a lot now in clubs. Next car on this list is just an amazing RQ saver, an amazing city streets car, and an amazing club car. It is the Dodge Avenger Rt. It has the front wheel drive niche. It has 89 handling, 40 RQ, 5.0 second 0 to 60, medium ground clearance, decently lightweight. It doesn't weigh a ton. I've had it for 417 days, 1,079 races with a 73% win ratio. This is everything you could ask for from an RQ40. It is such a great car, and since it has no top speed really, it is able to be an RQ40. It is just such an amazingly good car that if you do not have it, like, this is more of one that's commonly known a bit, but if you do not have this car, you need to keep one and max one out immediately. It is such an amazing machine. I use it all the time. Same with like the M100. I use it more than the M100 Alon. It's just your everything everywhere car, and it'll win you everything everywhere. It is insanely good. Next car on the list is a car that used to be really good and then kind of got forgotten about, but it still lives up to its name, which is the Subaru Xt. Maxed out at 323, four-wheel drive, standard tires, 6.9 seconds 0 to 60, 83 handling, medium ground clearance, very lightweight, and I've had it for 610 days, 991 races, with an 81% win ratio. That is very good for a super rare, especially when I use it as an RQ saver sometimes. Like, comparing it to other four-wheel drive standard cars, like the next closest one I have right here is the Subaru Legacy 7.181, and it's a bit heavier compared to 6.983. It's just a really good RQ saver. Also an 80s car too, so I use it sometimes in events as well if there's any rain. It is just a very useful car. That 83 handling, and especially being lightweight as well, both help it out quite a ton. Another car on this list, which is a very useful one, which I do use quite a bit as well, the Fiat Coupe 20V Turbo. 4.9 seconds 0 to 60, 87 handling, low ground clearance, decently high top speed, front wheel drive, 300 days, 557 races, 77% win ratio. I use this car a lot in clubs, especially if it is super rare requirements. because it has performance tires instead of slick tires, which a lot of front-wheel drive cars have slick tires. 90s niche. And it's just got good all-around stats. It just has very strong all-around stats for a front-wheel drive car. Like looking at rear-wheel drive cars next to it with the Copperhead and the 968, it's got similar stats to it, but it's got front-wheel drive. So that can be pretty useful from time to time. Like with the C2R2 Max, it doesn't have the top speed, where the Coupe 20V Turbo will beat it on more of the faster stuff. It's just a very useful car for all-around stuff that's mainly fast-based. It's not like a slalom test or G-force test. Then it is a very useful car to have. Next car on this list is the Rq48 Tvr 400 SE. Now this isn't a very well-known one, and it is a very niche type of car. Lightweight, 73 days, 43% wind ratio, and that's because it's a very niche car. But it is very good at the fast circuit because it has very good MRA. Maxed it out 332. It is also just a very good British dragster as well. There aren't too many British dragsters. Like if we go to my fully upgraded UK sort 0 to 60 time, you've got the D-Type. And I guess you got the Mulsanne Grand Limousine, but the D-Type and the Mulsanne both don't have MRA, which is what the TVR 400 SE does have. It is pretty much your British dragster when you need it. So it is a very useful one to have if you're looking for a very niche car to collect. Your TVR 400 SE will definitely help you out. Next car on the list is another RQ48. It is the Lancia Delta Integrale 8V. It is a great rainy Italian car, lightweight. It's just a great Italian car in general because of 90 handling. Most Italian Subarus don't really get up to 90 handling, but this Lancia does. 288 days, 490 races, 73% win ratio. You'll also end up using it outside of Italian events just because it's a good four-wheel drive performance tire car. So it's good when you don't want four-wheel drive standards because there might be a bit of a chance for a fast stuff, but you do want something for rain if there is the occasional rain track set. The Lancia Delta Integrale 8V is definitely a very useful one for that. Also as a hatchback too, but it's just a very strong Italian car in general, especially Italian-wise. It will be very useful to have. Next car on the list is going down to RQ43. It is an insanely good all-rounder, the Chrysler Crossfire Concept. Not many people have it maxed. I've had it for 341 days, 451 races, 76% win ratio, and it is just a very good all-rounder. Also a pretty solid RQ saver in concept events too. So don't forget about that as well. It's got the concept tag, so it can be a pretty useful RQ saver because it definitely will not lose you very many points because of the 4.8 seconds 0 to 60, decently high top speed, 89 handling. It's definitely a very good all-rounder to have just compared to other cars as well in this category. It has all the stats that a perfect all-rounder needs. Another car on the list is a standard tire car, and it's because the ELR is known, the Vauxhall Insignia Grand Sport is known, but the Cadillac DTS is not very commonly known, and it also is a very useful one. It has the medium ground clearance where the ELR does not. It has traction control and ABS. I've had it for 368 days, 571 races with a 75% win ratio. It is just another version of these two cars. It's a bit faster than the Vauxhall Insignia Grand Sport. It is your medium ground clearance ELR for low RQ. If you need medium ground clearance, your Cadillac DTS is there for you. It's also front-wheel drive too, so you can use it in front-wheel drive stuff. It's standard tires, so it's useful there as well. It's a saloon, right? I think it's a saloon. Yeah, it's got that saloon niche too. It's just another version of those two cars, but it's got medium ground clearance compared to the ELR, and it's got a bit more top speed on the ELR. It's just your Cadillac ELR for other stuff where the ELR is not as great. So your DTS will definitely help you out quite a bit as well. Then the last car number 10 on this list before we get to the honorable mentions, is a car that got nerfed-ish, but not really nerfed-ish. It's just sort of got different tires, which is the Subaru Forester. 46 RQ, 7.70 to 60, 80 handling, and it's very lightweight. High ground clearance on it as well. 386 days, 463 races, 80% win ratio. It doesn't get used as much as it used to with standard tires, but still it has the stats and it's got the stuff to be still used quite a bit. And I do still use it quite a bit. It just isn't used as much as a standard tire car, but it is still a very useful one to have, especially because of that lightweightness on it. And it's also just a really cool looking car as well, but that's not the point of this video. I could do something on, though, the coolest looking cars to keep. Maybe that'll be a video in the future, but the Subaru Forester is definitely a very useful one to have for all surface tire stuffs, especially Japanese all surface tires. That is a very useful area to have it. Then we move on to the honorable mentions, which are cars that might have not made the cut, are a bit more commonly known, or aren't as niche enough. Aren't niche enough compared to the other cars on this list. Starting off with the Rq40 Renault Sport Spider. I just felt like this car was a bit more commonly known compared to the others, but still, it is a very useful RQ saver. It is a lighter version of the Avenger Rt, minus the medium ground clearance and front wheel drive. It is lightweight, 40 RQ, had it for 230 days, 143 races on it, but that's also because I had it stock for forever. But I maxed it out, and I've actually gotten quite a bit of use out of it. Another car, which is another RQ40, which I've only got 6, so you can probably guess which one it is. Well, maybe not. There's 2 that can be possible answers, because 2 of them are very well-known cars, and 2 of them are already on the list. So then you're left with the Copperhead S8A, and the Suzuki SX4 S-Cross, and the Suzuki SX4 S-Cross is on this list. 11 races, 100% win ratio, and that's using it in very competitive super rare roadless taken clubs. Like, this is throwing it up against off-road tire cars. I put it against the Renault R20 Turbo off-road tires right here, right there, and it beat it on a slalom test. It's on a wet slalom, not a wet slalom test, but an off-road slalom test. Like, it is a very useful RQ40. If you need an RQ saver, very lightweight, traction control, ABS, high ground clearance, 83 handling. The only thing that holds it down is that 0 to 60, but really you don't need 0 to 60 when you're throwing a car on a slalom test or a G-force test. 0 to 60 is not going to be what's helping you. It's going to be that 83 handling and that lightweight. So it is actually a surprisingly useful car, and I'm glad it got the two-tone tag, so I was actually able to end up keeping it, because I never would have kept this car. But now using it sometimes, well, for 11 races, I guess, but using it for those 11 races and clubs, I realized the potential that this car could have, and now I just need another club event where it'd be worthy to be used again. And another car on here, which I just felt was a bit more of a commonly known car, and it also just is too much of a good all-rounder that isn't really niche, is the Dodge Copperhead. It's not really niche because it's just a bit useful. You can use it everywhere. It's not useful in niche situations. You can throw it everywhere. The Dodge Copperhead, 4.9 seconds 0 to 60, 91 handling, relatively lightweight for a performance tire car, 104 races, 80% win ratio. It's just your all-around everywhere car that will win you some stuff. Well, you lose you some stuff, but won't lose you some stuff by a lot of points. It is still a relatively good car to keep if you don't have one already. And that's going to be concluding it for this video. That's the end of the series, unless maybe I do it for ultra rares, but I don't know. I'd have to look at my ultra rares. Maybe leave a comment down below if you want to see it for ultra rares too. Ultra rares are just a bit harder to collect compared to supers, rares, uncommons, and commons, but I could do it on ultra rares because why not? So yeah, leave some comments down below if you want to see ultra rares, and that's going to conclude it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Yellowfin, and goodbye.